Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. Back with more NBA news. And of course, Chris Paul just announced his retirement the other day. So, of course, as soon as someone retires, especially in the sports world, we started to think about their rank amongst the greats, especially in his position as a point guard. And for the most of his career, he was considered the point guard because of his floor generalship and just his way he orchestrates an offense. And he was primarily a pass first point guard, which is pretty much obsolete now. Most point guards now today have to get 20, 25 points a game, which back in the day when he was starting off, they would maybe get 15 points a game, but definitely had to average 10 assists a game and maybe get a couple of rebounds. But for the most part, they were trying to get their star players into the best shots possible or the best offense possible. But now it's more predicated on shooting the basketball and scoring for your team as well. Those players like a John Morant or Dame Lillard or Steph Curry, especially, those players are primarily shoot first. They can make passes and make things happen as far as the offense goes, but for the most part, they expected to score a lot for their teams. But Chris Paul is one of the last of a dying breed as far as pass first point guards. Because if you go back to the 80s up until the early 2000s, that era was primarily predicated on point guards just passing and setting up the offense. But now it's so much more, and the game has expanded. So you really won't see those pass first point guards anymore. So he's pretty much last of a dying breed, with the exception of maybe a few players here and there. But for the most part, if you're playing point guard, you're going to be expected to score as well. Passing is not a, a, a requirement as much as it was in the past. So, um, but he retired as the second all-time assist assister in the game behind John Stockton. I don't think anybody will be able to catch him. He has like 15,000 assists, and Chris Paul retired with like 12,000. So it's about a 3,000 some odd amount of assist gap that they had. So I don't think anyone be able to pass that, especially in this era with the lack of assists that are going around, especially on a consistent basis, unless you're Jokic or LeBron. But he's on the back end of his career, and then what Westbrook was able to do as well. So I don't think that record would be broken. But as far as Chris Paul goes, he's going to retire. He retired with no championship rings. Um, but he had an impact, I thought, on most of those earlier teams when he was with the Hornets and when he was with the Clippers and things like that. He had a huge impact, I want to say, especially as a pass first point guard who can go get you 20 or 30 points here and there. But that wasn't his mindset most of the time. He was a 12-time All Star, 7-time All Defensive First Team. So he played both sides of the basketball. He was passing and he was defending at a very high level for a long time. Didn't have a lot of injury history as well, so he was very durable and dependable and available. So that was another plus. But where does he rank all the time amongst point guards? And I only put pass first point guards. So I didn't include players like Steph Curry or Dame Lillard or anybody like that you would put in that mold of point guards that wasn't primarily pass first. So when I thought about my list, there were a couple of names that I put before Chris Paul, and I'll give my ranking at the end. But um, the point guards I couldn't put Chris Paul couldn't be above is first is Magic Johnson, which most point guards don't go before Magic Johnson because of him being 6'9" and him being such a great passer, a fancy, flashy passer, uh, winning a championship in his rookie year with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, what he meant to the Lakers franchise, just his brand altogether, his skill set, being able to rebound as well. He was one of the first ever triple threats other than Oscar Robinson. So him to be able to have so much versatility at the point guard spot, being able to pass, rebound, score, all of these different things, and his passing ability was second to none. The way he could get so creative with the passing and the no look passing, he was pretty much all those things that players try to be now, but he was that way before then, even in a taller package as well. So you can't really put anybody above Magic Johnson because he was a generational, well, probably a lifetime talent being 6'9" and being primarily a passer. The only person close to that is LeBron, and I think he still falls short of what Magic was because Magic just was, just so impactful and just so, just such a game changer. Because maybe if LeBron came first, he would have that rep, but Magic Johnson was just different. So he definitely has to go number one on the list. Then, of course, number two, can't put anybody above John Stockton as well as far as that first pass first point guard because of his all time assist record, his impact on those Jazz teams alongside Karl Malone. And he probably would have two championship rings if it wasn't for Michael Jordan and the Bulls back in the day in the 90s. They had to go through that roadblock, but they got very close. But, of course, that game six in Utah that they lost. But I think they would have lost in game seven in Chicago anyway. But for the most part, I think John Stockton should be at least number two point guard all the time just because of his ability and his productivity, his impact on the team. He was a very great defender as well. What he was able to do, he has the he's the all time steal leader as well, and has five times all defensive second team. But he's one of the most pure point guards that you will see ever in the NBA. So I have him two on my list. Three, I have Jason Kidd. He's my favorite point guard I ever seen play. Just his style and his creativity as well. What he was able to do with Richard Jefferson and Kenyon Martin and Brooklyn. Well, it was New Jersey at the time, New Jersey Nets, and what he was able to do with them. It's just his style and grace. I remember the NBA Live 2003 cover he was on the front of. Just how he changed the game and his creativity was just unique. And he had a lot of assists as well in his career, and he was a very underrated defender. Um, but he learned how to shoot the three, and his impact is well respected. And even now as a coach, he brings that toughness to his teams, whether it was Milwaukee or wherever he was um, in Dallas. So he always brings that toughness. So I had him third on my list. And then fourth, I have Russell Westbrook, which wasn't always a pass first point guard, but learned to be that. Probably the most athletic point guard I ever seen. I know they said Oscar Robertson was very athletic, but the only person I didn't see him, I saw Russell Westbrook and how athletic he was to grab rebounds, to drive to the lane and dunk on people, to just be undersized and be able to go get 20 rebounds or go get 15 rebounds. It's just immaculate. And his passing game, he could his penetration pause was one of the best in the game, and he learned that after Kevin Durant left and learned how to be the triple double king. Had to, got several. I want to say 4 out of 5 years averaged a triple double, and probably still could now if he was a solo player on this team. But his productivity, his triple double threat, similar to Magic's. He's actually the all time triple double leader, and his productivity on the court is second to none as far as point guards go. So I definitely have to put Russell Westbrook fourth. One of the most impactful players I've ever watched. One of the hardest working players I ever watched as well. So I would have to put Chris Paul as fifth on that list all time. Now in his era, I can probably put Chris Paul, number one because he was the only true point guard really most of his era to be so. He was at the end of like Jason Kidd's era and Steve Nash and all those other great guys. But for the most part, I think Chris Paul he's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. He's definitely had the impact. Unfortunately, he never got a championship, but that's not the end all be all in this greatest discussion. But at the same time, I think he's fifth all the time. Tell me what your thoughts about Chris Paul and his all the time ranking. Until next time, see you next time.